Hey everybody.
Good evening.
Good afternoon. We appreciate you tuning in to Rasheed NC Wyatt for Mayor. I'm gonna take the trip off now because we gonna do some real stuff.
That's right.
And this is our first production on Facebook. At a new set. See our new set, and we got some professionals working behind us.
Come on, man. Come on.
They got this stuff going on. We gonna have to be, Brother Khalil, TJ, we gonna have to get y'all back, man, because definitely appreciate the expertise you bringing, because we want to do things professionally.
That's right.
I want to be an example. What we need to do as Black people. When we do things, we talk about Black excellence, and then we need to work at it, And when we first started our set, Will,
right,
it wasn't all perfect. It was a little jacked up a little bit.
Yes, right.
But when we got these brothers involved, they brought some perfection to it. Because at the end of the day, we want to send a message about what I believe in real leadership, what that looks like. Because that's so important today. We need real leadership. Today is the 57th anniversary, the mountaintop speech from Dr. Martin Luther King. And I kind of talked about it on my Facebook page a little bit, because Dr. King, I just can't imagine the stress that he was under,
right?
Leading the movement, and knowing that his life was being threatened every single day. It started out with the assassination of John F. Kennedy, President Kennedy, and then Brother Malcolm was killed. And so I'm sure in his mind, he just kind of felt that was happening. And if you watch the video of that speech, if you look in his face, it looks as though he had this feeling of joy, but also a feeling of, I know this is going to happen.
Right.
When I think about Jesus, and he said, "Lord, can you pass this cup?"
That's right. That's right.
I'm not ready for this. But he sacrificially put his life on the line for us to have a greater day like we have today.
Yeah, and that's the bottom line of this. He was a God-fearing man.
Yeah.
So he really didn't care about that. The one thing that I compare this whole candidacy to is the fact that he cared more about the people than anything, And so when you care more about the people than anything, and you put your life on the line, like he do, it's no different than today. The things that you're talking about, a lot of times people not going to agree with you,
right?
And so we have to be very mindful of the fact that we're not going to have everybody, as you said, on our side.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if we can get the majority of them that hear the message. And that's the key to what Martin Luther King was doing during that time. He had a message. And so therefore, I have come, as you said, to the mountaintop. You know, and so he, and a lot of times it also sounds like he was doing a sermon.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? and so that's why they heard him. We heard him. We heard him in that vein. And so therefore, we're in the same way right now. You're on the front line fighting for the people. And it's the type of thing where you could be home every day with your family. You understand? But you're giving up some quality time that you could have with your family to be able to fight for what's going to be good for this city.
And it's so important. And we talked, let's talk a little bit. We got our petitions. We filed our petitions.
Amen.
We got over 3,800
at
signatures.
At least.
And we actually got more than that. But we had a little situation that some of them we couldn't use because it was a decision that we had to make.
Exactly.
So we really had 4,200, but we couldn't turn those in.
Exactly.
And Will, you scrub those things. This is what you've done. We always talked about doing things the right way.
That's right.
Legally, lawfully, and that's what we did. And so we could have put them in there and they had a crap shoot, but we said, no, we're not doing that. We're not playing this game.
No.
We're going to do this the right way.
That's right. And that's the only way I know how to do it. Because I came under that scrutiny before. So I learned the hard way that you got to do it the right way the first time. And if you do it the right way the first time, you don't have anything to worry about. Now, some people are going to try to come up with a lot of different things, because at this point, I know they don't want us on that ballot. You understand? I know they don't want us on that ballot because first thing I tell them all the time, once I'm on the ballot, we're going to take it to the streets.
That's right.
And so that's where we are right now. We're in that holding stage right now, but we did our due diligence beforehand. We made sure that everything that we needed to do was above board, you understand, and so that we didn't come under that scrutiny that some people might want us to come under, but we didn't do that.
And that's the one thing I can say about my career. I've always done things lawfully. No, I wasn't perfect, and I ain't trying to get nobody no perfect. I was not perfect.
Yes, sir.
You know, when we were young, we make silly mistakes.
That's
right.
Like
I told you about the thing when I talked on Nate's show last time about the bankruptcy, and the lady said, "You filed bankruptcy?" "Yeah, ma'am." I was young. I was foolish.
Right.
You make mistakes.
Right.
And so you learn from that, though. And if I'm still filing bankruptcy, that's an issue.
That's the issue. That's the issue.
But from 20 some odd years ago, yes, I did. And, you know, and I can speak to that honestly because I don't have to lie about my life. You know, you tell people the truth. And I think that they have genuine confidence in you when you can tell them the truth. You're not just trying to spin stuff. I'm not going to spin nothing. I'm going to tell you the truth. If you come and ask me a question, I'm going to tell you the truth because I think that's the day and age that we in now.
That's right.
And if we're going to gain people's trust, we got to be honest with them.
And you know the word tells you all the time, truth will set you free.
Yes, sir.
You don't care what nobody say.
That's right.
Truth. Hey, they may not like the truth.
Yeah.
Okay. As they said in the movie, some folks can't handle the truth. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So we have to be truthful in these day and age, you know, because people know when you're lying.
Yeah.
And they may not ever say anything to you, about that. You understand? They just go do about what they gonna do.
Yes,
you understand? So it's a good thing that you was able to go through some of that stuff that you went through.
Right.
Because God gives us all a testimony. I don't care who you are, you're gonna get a testimony, okay?
Yeah.
And you're gonna be tried by that testimony.
Yeah. And the one thing I was sharing with you and I shared it on Nate's show, because I didn't want other people to go through that same situation.
Man. Come on.
You got to go and try. How do we educate our young kids?
That's right.
A lot of our families don't have the background of finance.
That's right.
You know, they get a little money. They don't know how to do what they're supposed to do. So that's trial and error, but I don't want to go through that. So I did put a resolution for some years ago to the Buffalo School Board asking to teach financial literacy. I think it's so important. We're the third poorest of our size. How are we going to change that? It can't be just changed by wishing it. It's got to be some activity.
That's right.
And I think that's so important. Now, brother, I think we had a conversation because me and Brother Cleo was here late last week. I mean, a couple of days ago, and we talked about some things about, you know, bankruptcy. Some people don't even know about bankruptcy. They think that bankruptcy is a bad thing.
Yeah.
And you stress yourself because you can't pay your bills. But let me say, and I'm not trying to encourage people to go bankrupt, but if you are under stress, you got to go through that process. And there's nothing wrong. And it's better to go through it early than late.
That's right.
Because you go through this process and the stress that's on you, because I knew on a young family with me and my wife and my children, it was very stressful. It was not something that you easily did, but you got to do it, and you do it quickly and you learn from it.
That's right.
That's the thing.
That's right.
Learn from it. I know that our president of the United States done filed bankruptcy how many times?
Man,
and he the president
of
now.
The United States.
And a convicted felon.
And we still voted for him.
Yeah.
I should say some people did.
We didn't.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. I'm sorry, but I definitely not. You know what I mean? I just don't like the optics of what it is, because if it was one of me and you, okay, with 34 felonies, we wouldn't even be considered. Okay? Wouldn't be able to consider. Now, and then some folks gonna come at you, you understand, because you had 2 parking tickets that you didn't pay. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. Let's be real with this whole thing.
Let's keep it 100.
Yeah, all the time.
And so we're going to be doing this show every week. We're going to be on about 30 minutes. Because number one, I want you to hear about the issues. I want you to hear from me. It's not going to be filtered. I'm going to tell you exactly what I am, who I am. Hopefully you'll hear from the heart of the man, because I'm a family man. I'm a God-fearing man.
Come on.
I try to do everything above board. I ain't trying to be sneaky. I try to be up front. If you ask me a question, I'm going to tell you the truth, because that's all I know. And so at the end of the day, I think we need leadership that's going to lead and that's going to show and be an example.
I agree.
Right now, here we are talking about selling the parking ramps from the city of Buffalo for a one-time $45 million infusion. That's what they say.
Right.
And it's no coincidence that we have a $50 million deficit at that. They talk about a $50 million deficit. So I'm trying to jive those two numbers. One is 45, we can get revenue, and the other one is a $50 million deficit. Is that numbers we just throw out conveniently? Because I don't know who verified that. But again, I want to be in a position where when I give you information, it's validated. It's not something I'm just bringing out of the air.
Right.
And many times, you know, when I'm on the floor of the council, things are recommended from the administration, the previous and the current, through lip service, not through actual evidence. I got more information, honestly, regarding the sale of these ramps from the Buffalo News, who showed me the numbers, than I got from the administration.
And
How does that happen?
you're a full council
And I'm a full council member. Many times we hear things from the news than we hear from the administration. So, you know, I think that the leadership that I'm going to bring is going to be very refreshing, because it's going to be honest. When you hear something from me and my administration, you best believe we're going to do our due diligence. Because I'm not trying to fool anybody, because we've been fooled long enough, and we've been our community is tore up from the flow up. People gonna act like, oh no, we got a brighter future. Well, how are we gonna get a brighter future if we don't do the due diligence and engage the people in what they want to see? It's not what I want to see, it's what you want to see. And well, you know, we talked a little bit about, you know, there's some people who aren't supporting me, or who haven't come out and said they're gonna support me, and I know why. You know, some of these folks are connected to other folks, and they have to stay the company line.
That's right.
And that's unfortunate. But you gave me a good insight when we talked about that, how we got here. You know, talk a little bit about that, because I think we have to understand, as a people, we used to have stuff.
Well, as you know, I'm an old dog. You know, I've been around for a while, right?
Yes, sir.
And so the bottom line of it is that at one point in time, we had a lot of different things going on here in the city of Buffalo. Okay, when you talk about Bethlehem Steel, you talk about Republic Steel, you talk about Buffalo Forge, you're talking about all these different entities that our people was working in these different entities, and every Friday they had money to throw up in the air. I don't care what it was. They bought homes. They put their kids in private school. You understand? They had to carve their choice. All these type of things was going on. Okay, and so now they started buying other businesses. They had laundromats. They had bars. You know, they had liquor stores. You know, we had a whole lot of stuff that was bringing in extra money that we would be able to deal and be able to have money to be able to do different things in this city. And when those things went away, the Republic Steel, the Bethlehem Steel, you know, the Buffalo Forge, when all those things went away, it changed the dynamics of how we were living. Okay, and some people that's my age really know what I'm talking about right now when I tell you that we had money to throw up in the air every Friday. Now it's different. Okay, and so some of us sold out our businesses. Some of us sold it out to go into a different direction. I'm just going to say it that way, okay? And so now we have some different people here that's doing some different things in these types of businesses, and I can't be mad at them, okay? They're trying to do the same thing that we did for our families in terms of making a living. Is everybody perfect? No. Okay? We wasn't perfect when we was doing it. You understand? And so therefore, we have to be very cognizant of the fact that we need to be inclusive of everybody. Okay? Because a lot of people that's in this thing now, they are living for their families. And a lot of them are bringing something good to the table. Everybody is not bad. So now at this point in life, we got to figure out a way. Let's just figure out a way to work together and make this city a better city. And I believe that you are the answer to that.
And one of the things, you know, I know that on a previous show, and I'm not going to mention the name, it was Nate Boyd. He asked a question, what are we going to do about businesses in our community? You know, and I think that, you know, one of those things when most people that I talk to always refer to Jefferson. Okay. What are we going to do with Jefferson?
That's right.
How are we going to change Jefferson? And I think when you worked for Beverly Gray, that was her focus. That's right. Jefferson. You know, she had the Apollo. That's right. She was very forward thinking. Exactly. When she thought about the Apollo. The Apollo was supposed to be set up where you could see the interviews and stuff were taking place.
Like Good Morning America.
They did. I don't know who changed that up, but I thought that was a good thing, because I think when I walked by in New York City and I can see Good Morning America, ABC News, and I'm like, wow, what's going on in there? But it's like a level of excitement. That's right. You know, that was her vision. I think we need that. But she talk a little bit about Beverly.
And that was Beverly's vision. She was pro Jefferson Avenue because she grew up over there on Utica, the Utica area. Most folks know where Beverly Gray grew up at. but the bottom line of it was that she had a vision for Buffalo and to keep Jefferson like it was when we actually did Juneteenth on Jefferson. You understand? And so she was one, when we went into the Apollo that day, just to look at it, we had to have on hard hats. It had holes in the roof. It was leaking. It was nasty. Okay. And so she had the vision that I'm looking at her saying, no, don't even waste your time with this one. You know what I'm saying? Because Moss Brothers say, okay, we're going to let it go and we'll let it go to you guys for whatever y'all want to have it for. Okay. And so that was her vision. She also wanted to do some stuff with the library. The thing about it is right now, when I was working in City Hall, I was told by the mayor at that time that we would never have Jefferson Avenue like it used to be. As a matter of fact, none of our thoroughfares was going to be like it used to be. Is that it was all going to turn into a residential district and everybody's going to start going to the mall. And that's what I see happening. You know, when I first came to Buffalo from Savannah, Georgia, the bottom line of it was we was elbow to elbow down Main Street. All right? Everybody was touching, you know, M&A's, Neisner's, all these stores that my mother took us to. We had Eat downtown. It's so boring downtown right now. It's a shame that we still living like that. You know, most of the people that moved away. Now they're trying to navigate back. Okay. So I know you see this every day on the council in terms of what people are trying to do, how they want to have apartments upstairs and a business downstairs. These are the type of things that they do in New York City that they're trying to bring here to Buffalo again. Plus, we have the best situation where we're like 5 minutes away from the airport. I would never sell my home because I'm too close to the airport and the throughway. I'm on it. And within 5 minutes, I'm where I need to be most of the time. So, you know, it's a whole lot going on now, Councilman, that I can tell you that I know you have the answer to it. And I'm going to help you get there.
And you know, Will, I think that one of the most important things is that we're going to be inclusive. We're going to talk to the people. I don't have all the answers, but I have ideas.
That's right.
And I think there needs to be a vetting from the community to talk about how we do this thing. And I'm not just saying what I'm not doing right now. As a 3-term duly elected council member, this is what I've been doing. Pastor Pridgeon, Bishop Pridgeon, when he was council president, said Wyatt has more council meetings than a little bit. I'm known for that. And I don't make any excuses about it because I like to hear from the people. When I'm on the floor of the council and I can say I heard from my residents, I heard from my residents.
That's right.
Because when we need conversations about what's going on, even with the speed humps, people think that I just made the speed humps by myself. I did not. It's the residents. If you want speed humps on your street, you send you let the Department of Public Works know. You fill out the application. They survey the people on the block. If they say yay, you got speed humps. It ain't just me arbitrarily putting speed humps on every street. So I just want to make sure that y'all clear on that. It's not Wyatt saying I want to speed up on that block, because that's not democracy. That's dictatorship.
And let me share this with the public as well. Right now, a lot of people don't really understand what a councilman's job actually is. Okay, and it's to write policies and laws and things of that nature. It's not to correct the streets. It's not. It's to make sure that he governs what the second floor is doing. Now I got a man sitting right next to me right now that had 10 years on the council, being able to see all these different things, being able to witness all these different things, trying to get information about all these different things, and yet and still a lot of people will blackball him and not try to give him that information. You understand? And so I'm here today because I know who he is and I know what he's trying to do. And I hope that you would get on board and stop listening to the rhetoric, but listen to the message that this man is trying to bring forward.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we've been talking about is don't believe everything you hear.
That's right.
You know, and you can ask me now, we got this show and this is our first one on our live set that we take a little bit more time. The next show we have, we're going to allow you to ask us questions because I want to be transparent. I want to ask you, get your information out to you as soon as possible, just like right now. There's a big issue regarding the archway on Bailey and what's the potholes. And I've said, and I guess I can't reach everybody because I'm only one person. I don't have the media outlets to come to me talking about different things, but you can come on this podcast and hear what we're talking about because the archway is something that the former legislator April Baskin began the process. The new legislator, Taisha St. Jean, gave us additional money to make this happen because the cost increased. That's right. $500,000. And so the archway will come about along with the new streetscape for Bailey. It's not going to be just the archway and then let these potholes be there and we're going to put an archway with a nasty archway with a new archway with the pothole street.
Come on, man.
That's not what we're doing.
Yeah.
But the money that's being invested on Bailey, from the first phase of it is from Windspear to Kensington. That's the first phase. And so to have an archway with that new streetscape, it makes sense. We want to be prideful in what's in our community. And so when people say, well, why are you spending this money? What are we supposed to do? Wait until our potholes are filled? All the potholes aren't going to be filled, unfortunately. The acting mayor said he has a blitz. And as a matter of fact, someone sent me a message on Facebook, said he saw the blitz. And I'm like, okay, but there's still potholes. People are still complaining. But at the end of the day, we have to be more responsible to the residents. And it shouldn't be, it takes weeks. It should be something that we jump right on. I remember some weeks ago when people complained about the hot potholes. We should have been on it then, but it took a delay. And so they had to get things together, and now they're doing something, but people are still complaining. They got $17 million from somewhere to do some paving. We'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, I want to be responsive to you. And as Willie said, my job is to make laws. If I call the Department of Public Works and say to the Commissioner, I want you to come fix these potholes on Bailey. Guess what he has to do to me? Nothing. Because he doesn't report to me. He reports to the mayor. I can ask him. I can plead with him. But at the end of the day, he reports to the mayor. So I just want people to be clear on how this works. It's just not me as a council member. When I tell you to do something, they got to do it. It's me asking. And if the administration doesn't agree to it, then that's the issue. Like right now, I think we're getting a little bit of a slowdown from permits and inspections. And I'm going to say it because we've sent information to them about issues and we're not getting responses back. So I want y'all to stay tuned about that issue because I'm telling you, it seems as though this particular group don't particularly care for me because I'm always on the issues. It's not against them personally. It's about the responsibility of them doing the job.
That's right.
And making sure the residents who call my office get a response. Right now, we have issues with this proactive rental inspection that you've all heard a lot about because we have people living in homes that I wouldn't pay $1 for. And they're forced to do that because they don't have the opportunity. However, if we proactively inspect their home randomly where they're not calling us, guess what? Now they have the tools to address the landlord to say, we need to take care of that or we're going to have some problems.
That's right.
You're going to get fined, fees, you're in court, whatever it's going to be. But that's a way that we can address the housing issue. It's not simply building new houses. It's making sure the people who own these houses are making them, safe for the residents and for the children, that there's free of lead, all those types of things. That's the job of permits and inspections. That's what I hear from my community. That's what I'm going to speak up for. But I'm going to let y'all stay tuned to the issue with permits and inspections because again, they don't quite like me because I'm really on them. I'm about accountability. Ain't nothing personal. It's about accountability.
That's right.
That's the bottom line for me. And I think we have to make every department, again, it's not a personal issue. We all have jobs. We got to go to work. If I don't do my job, I'm not reelected. That's the bottom line for me. I understand
That's
that.
Right.
If you don't do your job, you may not have a job.
That's
so
right.
I think all this connects. It all fits hand in hand. I'm not going to be hiring all my friends and family. I'm going to hire qualified people because at the end of the day, our region should be a lot further. We're the second largest city in the state of New York.
That's right.
And why is it that we have we should be leading this region, not following this region. Someone brought up an issue as it related to other areas dealing with taxes, increased taxes. And I'm like, well, I can't talk about other areas because I don't know other areas. However, I do know that if we do better with our money, we don't have to increase taxes so significantly on the residents in the city. So if we manage our budget, and I'm gonna keep saying this, the biggest number on that and on our budget page is the overtime that we could probably manage a lot better. Now, we can't do anything with the contractor overtime, so I'm not gonna fool anybody. There is contractor overtime that police officers and firefighters get. I'm not messing with that, but I'm talking about the excess overtime. That's not a part of increased crime or increased fires. They said crime is down.
Right.
They said fires are down. So why are we paying all this overtime?
Right.
So if we address that issue that gives us more money to help do other things.
That's right.
It's so important. And so again, I want to run a lean government where we're making sure we have the right people in place to manage things, to be able to be nimble, to be able to, number one, listen to the residents. That's a big piece for me, Will.
That's right.
That you got to listen to the residents.
And that's key. And what I just heard was that here is this man has the pulse on everything that's going on in the city of Buffalo. And so therefore, this is why, again, I'm standing side by side with him. Listen, we're at 3435 Bailey Avenue right here at Highgate. OK, if you want to come by here and help us out, please do that. 3435 Bailey Avenue right here at Highgate. And I'm going to tell you, if something good is happening right now, please come and be a part of what's happening here at 3435 Bailey Avenue. If you want to call us, you can call us at 716-602-0868, and we'd be more than happy to facilitate what you're talking about.
Now, I'm asking you next week, have your questions ready. I'm going to be on for 30 minutes. I can't answer every question, but I'll try to get back to you. But I want to be transparent. I want to be a leader as we go through the budget process. The budget is getting ready to come to us and very shortly. And so I'm going to be talking to you directly about the budget. We're going to be having conversations. I put forth a resolution that the Common Council has approved that the budget now comes a little bit to us earlier. Before it came to us the 1st of May, and now we moved that up to April to give us more time to deliberate, to give you time to be able to go over it. And I'm going to be on this to make sure that you are aware of how we spend this money. That is key. We have to engage you so that you understand how we're spending your money so that we're not increasing your taxes because we're not taking care of our business, your business. And so we're going to be on that. I'm going to be trying to be as transparent as possible. I'm talking about my agenda. People want to put it on paper, and I will put something on paper, but I want you to hear from me directly. I've been, as Willie said, duly elected 3 times. And I do things differently in my district. I have conversation. We have numerous meetings, not just frivolous meetings. We talk about the real issues. You are in the room. Most of the time we got over 100 people who attend our meetings. Now, that's not an issue. It's not an issue meeting. It's a meeting that we regularly have to hear from you. So again, I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to keep you abreast of what's going on at City Hall as well as my campaign, because this is important to me. And when I get in office, I'm not going to stop communicating with you because I think that's key. That's critical. You should be able to access to mayor. You shouldn't have to worry about coming through and getting wanded down and police and all that. You should be able to come into your house and be able to speak to your mayor about whatever the issues are. And I'm going to continue that aspect of it, because I think that's so important. We must engage the public if we are going to lead the public.
Amen.
So again, we got a few minutes. But I'm glad. But again, I want to thank Brother Khalil and TJ for being here and making this presentation really powerful, because I want to do stuff right. I want to send the right message that when we do things the right way, we get great outcomes from it. And I'm committed to that. We just got put our petitions in. We had a diverse group that came out and supported us. And Will, I want to thank you, because you did something masterful. That you've done this a long time, but you didn't have people that did this on our team. They weren't people we didn't have a whole bunch of people that's done this before. No. And that's the thing, that we had our trainings here. Yeah. We had everything that we needed to do to get our folks ready. Yeah. Okay. And from what I'm understanding, some other people that was candidates, they had hundreds of people, but they didn't meet the numbers that we met. Yeah. And so whatever is going on now, right now with our petitions, I'm waiting to hear. Yeah. Okay. And again, everybody that wants to come along, because this train is going to start to move real quickly. So everybody that wants to come along, first off, again, 3435 Bailey Avenue, come and help Wyatt for mayor. Amen. All right. So I want y'all to join us, get on this train, because I'm really excited about my campaign. Yes, sir. Others are excited. You're getting a lot of phone calls. Yes, I am. From people that we didn't get phone calls before, but it's okay, because I understand everybody has something to do. Everybody has some type of allegiance or whatever, and I'm good with it. Because at the end of the day, we have some work to do. I want to bring whoever's ever interested to join us to get this message out, to do this work for the people. And I mean it from my heart, for the people. Don't believe everything you hear. you have an opportunity to come and ask me the question, and I'm going to answer it. Because sometimes people tell you stuff, they say, oh, he's mean, he's this, he's that. We out here having fun.
Right.
We're here having fun.
Thank you so much, everybody.
All right. Wyatt for mayor. We'll see you next week. Peace, everybody.
Right.